There it is.
Welcome to episode 10.
Episode 10. This is kind of a monumental.
It is.
Episode
Double digits.
10.
Yeah.
I am Adam McGuire.
I'm Steve Hagley.
And this is Whiteboard Sessions, your whiteboard session podcast that was derived from cool brainstorming sessions that we had when we worked together a couple years ago. And it turned into whiteboard sessions because we always used a whiteboard. So,
yeah, to come up with ideas.
Yep.
I think it connected us personally and professionally and generated a lot of good ideas.
Yeah, I think the whiteboard was symbolic of this like kind of base or root to us having these really like electric, explosive idea sessions.
Explosive.
Hey,
I like that.
They were we did some good stuff with them.
Yeah, and just keeping it real for a second, they legitimately were explosive because we had some incredibly good results, but I think very meaningful.
Yeah.
A lot of quality, depth.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
No.
So that is absolutely intent of these whiteboard sessions as it relates to this podcast.
Exactly. So that's a little bit about us. So as everybody knows, if you've watched one before, the rules are simple. One of us comes up with a topic, the other one doesn't know what it is, and you get real authentic feedback. You see how we operate.
Yeah.
You get you see how our ideas flow, and we just bounce stuff off of each other.
Correct.
So
if I called you a snowflake, is that
oh boy,
a snowflake?
Yeah. Well, what does that mean?
Is that a derogatory term?
I mean, some people probably would. I think I got some thick skin. So
I want to talk a little bit about being a snowflake. Now, it might be a derogatory kind of condescending term these days, if you're a snowflake. But what's the other thing that comes to mind when you think about snowflakes?
Winter.
And when you think about specific snowflakes,
yes.
Do you think of
creative design?
Unique,
specific.
There's no two.
There's no two that are the same.
Right.
No two.
So that's the topic today, Mr. McGuire, is we're going to talk about, what I like to call is what is your signature move?
Okay.
We're not talking about your college days.
We talking about creativity today?
Yeah.
Signature move.
Differentiating
factor.
Unique differentiator.
Yes.
Some people call it a magic trick.
Okay.
And a little teaser is we're going to relate this to a Happy Meal as well. But in all seriousness and genuineness,
I like this.
if you don't know for yourself as far as building your career, your reputation, what your unique differentiator is, your signature move, that's a problem.
Yeah.
If you don't know what your company's unique differentiator is,
that's a big problem.
Right. That is a problem. Now, this whole concept of unique differentiator comes from an old friend of mine who's passed since, Jim Erickson. He and Tom Miller used to run something called the Masters Forum here in the Twin Cities. It was the 600 top executives in the Twin Cities. And they had a chance to rub elbows with some famous people. One of the people that Jim golfed with at one point was Brett Hull, who is
hockey player,
very famous hockey player, high-scoring guy. So on the golf course one day, Jim asked Brett, what does it take to be a superstar?
Yeah, not just a hockey player,
right?
Or a star.
They're all well paid. Most of them are very well known. But to be a superstar, to be very very unique, top
upper
of your
echelon.
Game. Brett Hull says you have to have a signature move.
Yes.
At the time, he referenced Michael Jordan in the fadeaway jump.
Yep.
At the time, Brett Hull, in his prime, had a unique, I think he called it a deke, or some sort of move that he would make.
Old dangle for the hockey guys out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and so that gave birth to this whole concept of signature move. So when you think of companies or people that have unique signature moves, or unique different, who comes to mind for you?
Well, I mean, we've referenced this one in a past podcast, but Callaway's Big Bertha driver.
Yep.
Well, right now, Nike has a running shoe out that was kind of the first of its kind.
Yeah.
And they have like more of a niche. It's not necessarily like their signature move, but gosh, there's so many that are running through my head.
When you think, who are some people? Totally unique people, good or bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could lay out any kind of politician. You could
Donald Trump and his tweets.
Yep. Exactly.
Unique differentiator. Among other things.
Yep. I mean, so any really like athlete or superstar, like James Harden has a move.
Yeah.
His Euro step or whatever. There's back step that they call it.
Steph with the 3 points.
Yep. There's the MJ one is like a perfect one, and I'm an MJ fan, so that's
absolutely.
cool. Yeah, shoot, there's so many. Oh my gosh.
It's a very powerful concept, and go ahead.
Simon Sinek's Start with Why, and El Presidente's Pizza Review. There's so many that I'm just like thinking of right now. They're unique differentiator, and it doesn't have to be something where it makes you like, it's not. It could be something big. It could be something small. It's just whatever makes you stand out from your competition or from
Now, I'm not a big fan, and I think I've probably seen the show, but I think the Kardashians.
Oh yeah.
There are some very strong brands, very strong companies, very strong products that have some signature moves that are very, very unique. And
Whole Foods, their signature move was organic, fresh stuff at grocery store.
Right.
Like access.
Right. So if you had to think, I'm putting you on the spot here, but what makes you totally unique, Adam? I mean, when you think about something that is the essence of who you are, skill set, personality, persona, whatever, what is it that you think that other people would agree, yep, this is what makes Adam completely unique?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It is kind of putting me on the spot. I think two things come to mind. One, I would say is, now this doesn't make me totally unique because there are other people like this out there. Right. You just don't run into them very much. And again, this is the humbly left brain, right brain type person, right? Normally, usually you have one or the other. You have somebody who's creative, or you have somebody who's more analytical. I luckily love both of those, and I can think both ways, and I can create both ways, and my brain works both ways. So one of my differentiating factors, I guess, is my ability to be right brain and left brain. So the second thing that I think is kind of a differentiating factor of me, that I've built kind of my marketing career and experience off of, is my ability to kind of step back, peel back, take off the marketing lens, take off the, Adam McGuire lens, and look at it from consumer. Like, I'm a consumer every day, just like you, just like everybody is. Right. I think a lot of times too many people in business or in marketing try to find the new shiny toy, the new angle to take, the best way to do it, the new algorithm, the new automated this or that. And it's like, we all consume on a daily basis. Let's peel it back. What would I want as a consumer? How do I want to consume this or buy this or whatever it is? Right. And I start there. That's kind of like my starting point, my jump off from where we take the campaign, where we take the strategy, where we take the branding. And then it goes from there. If I'm not the demographic, or I'm not the right person to essentially ask myself where to start, I find that person out. Right. Yeah. And somebody who will give me the truth too. So those would be kind of like, I guess, the two things that I could think of off the top of my head. What about you? Because you've had a really successful business for over 20 years, multiple industries, multiple clients. I don't even know if I could think of an industry you probably haven't worked in. So what makes your, because if somebody says, oh, you're a business consultant, or whatever the title, there's probably a lot of those, but what's your signature move?
Candor. And so
join us next time for episode.
And so it's sometimes we can't pick our signature move, because if I picked my signature move, I would probably want to be more warm and fuzzy and more approachable and things like that. But what the service that I've provided that other people haven't been able to get anywhere else is the ability to come in, understand a situation, articulate back to them what's going on, and have them go, wow, that's it. And then say things in many different circumstances and get away with it. Okay. Where if there's a leader that needs to convey a difficult message to the team, if there's a performance issue between individuals, things like that, having the ability to understand a circumstance, if there's two different parties, understand both sides, and being able to communicate to both groups at the same time and get things forward. So that candor and that communication, and trust me, with that kind of signature move, there is an occupational hazard on a daily basis of getting shot as the messenger.
I don't doubt that.
So, we strap on the bulletproof vest and the body armor just about every day. But so there's a couple of examples of our own individual signature moves as it relates to our business and the things that we do. We've talked a little bit about it before. We're not just theoretical. We're not just, good idea guys. We thrive on that stuff. We understand a lot of that stuff, the theoretical, the principled stuff. But putting that into practice, that's our and being able to do it quickly, efficiently, effectively.
Operationalizing.
Operationalizing,
yeah.
And then getting a return on investment for people pretty quick. Now, go ahead.
Everybody can have an idea. Everybody, right? I think it's one thing to have really good ideas often, to be like a big idea person is really cool. I kind of pride myself in that. I love creating new ideas and things like that. But to be able to implement those ideas and implement them successfully is the difference.
Yep. Amen.
Yep.
So one of the things, and people might be saying, okay, well, gosh, I don't know if we know what our signature move is. And it's more often than not, by a long shot, I'll go into a business and I'll ask ownership, what's your signature move? Leadership, what's your signature move? Middle level managers, what's your signature move? Frontline people, what's your signature move? A lot of times they don't know. And if some of them do know, it's inconsistent at best.
Okay.
So in trying to get alignment within an organization, top to bottom, what is that signature move? You can start out by asking people some questions about what is it that uniquely differentiates them from other people. Now, there's a technique or a meeting that I facilitate on a regular basis. It's called a Strengths Changes Challenges meeting. You get in there, and the first question I ask a team is, what are the unique strengths of this team, different from your competitors? And I'll just ask them, and I'll start writing on the whiteboard or the flip chart, whatever. And you can imagine the things that they say. We all like each other, and we have
the
different
best quality,
skills. Oh yeah,
quickest turnaround.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, for dramatic effect, I'll pause about half a dozen responses into this process and say, okay, if I went down the road to your next best competitor, the top 3 competitors in this marketplace, and asked them the exact same question, what makes you uniquely different from everybody? How many of their answers would be identical to your answers?
Yeah.
And 100% of the time,
we have the best product. We deliver the fastest.
Right.
It's the most affordable.
Yep. And the look on the faces in the room when people go, oh my gosh, our competitors are saying they're uniquely different in the same identical ways we say we're uniquely different.
It's a big reality check of you finally realize he might not be as unique that you think.
Yeah, and what we say makes us unique isn't necessarily what other people or the marketplace says makes you unique, right?
Yep.
So I think that in helping people watching this understand how do you get at that, you got to get everybody at the table. So sometimes you're going to need to hire some good facilitators. We have a couple in mind.
Who are those guys? Do you know? I don't.
Look at
yeah. Okay.
To come in and quickly get at the heart of what makes you unique and how to deploy that, operationalize it. Integrate that into your processes, systems, your brand, your marketing, sales process, everything like that. Strategy.
Because would you agree that there's an aspect of you being able to implement your signature move, but also just like you were saying, which also happens to be part of branding and marketing on my end, is how a consumer or the public views your brand or views your product or your service or whatever it is. You don't have total control over that.
Right.
So you can implement, but also being able to implement the view of that as well is going to be really important, because you could say our signature move is we offer like this Callaway Big Bertha driver that is, totally different, but how the public views that driver is going to be totally different too. Like there's 2 sides to that story that you're really going to have to put both into play.
You got it.
You also have me curious. I want to know what the sneak peek of the Happy Meal is.
The Happy Meal. So way back in the McDonald's is well known for, McDonald's University and then standardizing that whole business of making fast food. That's how they got, that whole thing. The story that I don't think many people know is the story of the Happy Meal. At that time when there were burger joints everywhere and the parents asked the kids, hey, we'd like to go out for dinner tonight. What do you want? And the kids would say, we want hamburger, French fries, and a Coke.
Yep.
If that's what the kids say, it leaves that decision where to get the hamburger, French fries, and a Coke up to the parents. Well, we all know when this started, I think most people know that at the beginning of the Happy Meal was hamburger, French fries, and a Coke in a fancy box with a little trinket toy that was probably $0.25.
Yeah.
And they called it a Happy Meal. So now the conversation back at the old homestead changes when the parents say, hey, we're going out for dinner tonight. What do you want for dinner, kids? And the kids would say a Happy Meal, which gives the parents one option.
Yep.
That was their signature move. Now, if you drill down into the McDonald's story, they had 4 principles: quality, service, convenience, and value, that they felt would differentiate them. Quality, service, convenience, and value. Notice they didn't say quality, service, convenience, and food, because that would be false advertising.
Yes.
No offense, McDonald's. But even down to their real estate purchase, for the most part, when you're on an interstate, if you see a McDonald's, you can get off that ramp, take a right, and take another right, and you're in their parking lot. So even their real estate purchases is part of their signature move.
And I'm glad you brought up that example, because I didn't even know that whole story. But as you said it aligned with what I was saying earlier about the 2 parts. So they came out with the signature move of the Happy Meal,
right,
which in itself was a signature move. Nobody else was doing that.
Right.
But they called it a Happy Meal. They put this label on it that drew the public's perception to be able to say, I want a Happy Meal. That zeroed it into one company, like you
Correct.
said.
Right.
So now that view matched the signature move that they created. So that was perfect implementation of the 2.
Yeah.
Now, how would you say that all of this relates to the pandemic?
The pandemic? Well, I think the pandemic has clearly changed the world. I think people look at their own lives differently. I mean, we're hearing that from clients. We're reading about a bunch in that our previous podcast, about the burnout and some of those other things. We're going to have to figure out, each of us individually and our businesses, to figure out how that pandemic changed customers' view of us, how it changed our customers, and how, like McDonald's, we can freshen up, re-energize our signature move to better serve them in this new world order, if you will.
Yeah, I think it's almost more important than ever to make sure you have a signature move or a unique differentiator, because an article I was reading, in 2020 when the pandemic was going strong, was talking about how there was going to be this quote unquote gaslighting happening in 2021. People trying to recoup revenue, businesses just trying to push.
Yeah.
Get the product out there, get the service out there. Hey, we need to make more money. Hey, times are different now. You're stuck at home. You need to do this or whatever, and so when there's that much going on, when there's that much marketing and advertising in the, in those spaces, how can you stand out? That's where your unique differentiators.
Absolutely, no doubt about it. One thing that comes to mind just really quick on that issue is how things have changed with just labor in this country. Currently we've got, it's the end of June, 2021. And right now there's a lot of businesses that are open for business, but they can't find the labor to support that.
That's
which
true.
It's creating a challenge for businesses from a compensation standpoint, which is a no-brainer. I mean, that just is. But how do you create the type of culture? How do you create the work experience, signature move-wise, to get people to want to come to work and be part of that team? So to your question a moment ago, I think that's a huge opportunity to use your signature move to get your own customers, which as far as a business is concerned, my opinion is the business's customer is the employees.
Yeah.
And if you take care of your customers, which are the employees will take care of the end user.
Which goes back to our that other podcast we did about culture branding.
Yes.
Which that is what it aligns with. You start with that internal culture, taking care of that leads to great external branding. So, yeah.
So in just kind of summarizing this thing, we really want to motivate you. We want to disrupt you. We want to provoke you to think about, what's your signature move? I mean, if you're an individual out there trying to make a career, there's a supply and demand. There's a limited supply of you. Yeah. Limited supply of us. What makes you unique? You're going to probably need some help. Some people that care about you, that know you, to help you figure out what it is that makes you truly unique. It may be something that you're not entirely comfortable being. Yeah. But it does make you unique. So that's number one. Number two, if you're a business and you don't know what your signature move is, give us a shout. Yeah. We'd love to talk to you about that in pretty short order. We've got some processes that we can plug you into pretty quick and help you at least start down that road or get you all the way through it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I hope whether you're an owner or a leader or even just an employee, you're asking yourself right now, what is our unique differentiator? What is our signature move? And if you honestly ask yourself that question, and then you say, what is your competitor gonna say?
That's right.
If they're too aligned, then that's where you got to have an honest conversation with yourself or your leaders or the ownership, whatever it is, and really assess and go from there. And I think that's where we come in.
Last thing I got to say on this is to everybody in business out there, whether you're a leader, owner, manager, if you don't know, if you don't have a clue what your happy meal is, somebody's spending time trying to figure that out in your market space.
Exactly.
To figure out what their happy meal is. So as this pandemic comes to a close and we get back to kind of an open, free world again, what's your happy meal?
Yep.
How are you going to find that out?
It's a great way to end it.
You bet.
Episode 10, signature move.
In the books. Right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.